After World War I, the Great War, there was great disillusionment. The optimism of the 19th century was shattered by a virtually universal burst of military ferocity. People wondered how things could have become so bad, in part due to the lack of a discernible purpose by any of the parties. The 30 Years' War had largely removed religion from the equation 3 centuries earlier. The view was that humanity would fill any resulting void. The plan held up for some time, but when it did collapse with the Great War in 1914, it left the people with nothing to hope for in terms of a formula for peace. In our times, people do not share similar levels of disillusionment. This is not necessarily a good thing. For the most part, they're too busy eating pizza and watching video segments to take time to think. This is a more worrisome condition than that faced 100 years ago. Disillusionment presumed some form of experience, of wisdom. There was an engagement at one time. Empty-headedness leads to detachment and a sense of entitlement that is unsustainable in the absence of effective leadership. Someone must care. Someone must know. There is much education, but little learning. People do not attend school to learn, but to gain employment. They are only interested in standard education, what will get them a job. Conveniently but dangerously, that is all that's being offered. University education has become textbook education. True university education and enlightenment is virtually non-existent, even in the good schools. Vocational training is hugely watered down, mostly a matter of learning to use equipment. No one fixes anything anymore. Given low quality and poor maintenance infrastructures, it is easier to just replace things, given that parts cost as much as complete new products, and maintenance is a piecemeal business requiring some knowledge. Work that is available, regardless of sector or form of labor, is mostly artificial activity, shuffling things around. People make a living in the eye of the tiger, negotiating complicated situations out of thin air, where there's not much at stake. Where there is not confusion and chaos, these must be created to give an appearance of value. Stability and peace are guaranteed to get one fired. A calm office in the current environment is an extremely dangerous place to work. Industries are carefully slotted as to be sure that no major disruptions occur. True to the absentee owner model, that is capitalism, the mandate passed down by detached owners is to squeeze more profit out of less contribution. This is the great hope, that such a program will carry on ad infinitum, forever. In fact, this is the plan. There are to be no cycles. There are to be no disruptions. That is, until they occur, which is an opportunity to reset the cost structure by downsizing employment. The point is, everything is up. Everything must go up. There is no down. The world is as an aging dowager. Actually, to be truthful, there is less analogy here than would be expected. Everything you see is as Botox, which is being used to shore up more and more of the body politic. This is obviously the end of an era. In all respects, it is a very dangerous state of affairs. The good news is that if military challenges present themselves, as is an increasing possibility in the absence of real solutions, apathetic populaces will be less motivated to present themselves for battle, as occurred in force 100 years ago. The bad news is that with current military capabilities, they will not be needed in order to create destructive mayhem. And they can die anyway in the course of ugly modern war. Although participants within the economic core behave as described, since the recession, the Great Recession of 2008, business people on the periphery, particularly families and clans, see things differently. Before the global swoon of that time, these people were already skeptical. The fact is, many of them sat in chairs in the elite schools right next to the now famous leaders of the Corps. What, they didn't listen in class either? Well, not only did the Great Recession elicit pain, the senseless reaction on the part of the major powers aroused disgust. How could supposed leaders, quite so obviously, not take action to recognize and resolve the underlying problems? More to the point, it is obvious that they wouldn't even know how. They simply covered the problems over with paper money. The post-war regime at least started with a rudder, gold. Since abandonment of Bretton Woods, it is turtles all the way down, a policy free fall that could have been avoided even without gold at the base. This leads us to trees. They are the answer. There is more to this than metaphor. As trees are rooted and grounded, all things may be. This is to say that a logical framework of all things can be established, using logical tree structures, supporting processes, leveraging technology. See how trees link to one another. Notice how integrative and strong a forest is, adapting, persisting, and remolding itself. Socially, we need to acknowledge these roots, combining them with modern technologies, but applied using trees, not typical technical tools, which cannot reflect dynamic nuances such as would only be reflected by deep expertise. Trees can demonstrate the answers if only we know how to get to them when we need them. This is the underlying key, the grounding for success in the new era. The solution is in trees. How can this be true? It is reflected in the Great Debate, the mid-century conversation of the three leading economists of that period. John Maynard Keynes, to be sure, based on influence, also Frederich Hayek and Joseph Schumpeter, both born of the Austrian school, leaders in the United States and everywhere thereafter. Doctors Hayek and Schumpeter knew that Dr. Keynes would win out based on popularity and the ease of his message, but they predicted the conditions of our day with great accuracy. Keynes argued for easy money, to be sure, ensuring his popularity, but also increasing dependence on aggregate statistics. This ensured that the details of life's processes would remain detached and unsupported by the policy engine, by finance. This is exactly what happened, is it not? People are okay for now. Buying and selling is going on as before, true? The financial system, however, is sinking, and we are in danger of it taking us all down. Schumpeter and Hayek spoke in favor of processes, details, trees. Hayek's famous knowledge problem is an argument for trees, which could in fact solve the problem, an impossible feat when he was alive. Schumpeter, the great advocate of cycles and their understanding, said that mankind could resolve this problem, but that he doubted mankind would do so. This would require a level of connectedness and understanding that is not representative of our civilization. Let us create a new civilization based on these very characteristics of leadership. We grew up with the trees. It is in our genes.